Alright, welcome back everyone. This did not go as planned, as apparently the new ticket is in and it wouldn't show up for me to be able to buy it and to get it. I had to patch DotA, I had to do a whole bunch of stuff to get this thing to show up, but I finally got it and we are into the match, and I unfortunately can't go back while it's live to view the draft. So we're going to have to watch right at the start, right at the horn here to start the game off. So we're going to miss the draft, but yeah, so we got Tshow going up against Unknown. Tshow is going to be on our Radiant side. Dire side is going to be Unknown, which we saw play earlier. Quickly introducing the teams and the players. Obviously, Tshow on the Radiant. We've got just Dot playing the Wisp. We've got HFN playing the Tiny. They're both going to be in the bottom lane here. As I don't really want to look away from the action here, but I want to introduce the players in the mid. I think there's going to be action because we got Disruptor sitting off to the side here. Yeah, they're going to get the kinetic field down, but it's actually Disruptor that loses quite a bit of HP. Tiny losing about half, but he'll be okay. So we're going to quickly jump to the mid lane, as I don't think we're going to see any first blood there. We get Garnet playing the Queen of Pain. We have Scythe playing the Tusk. And we've got King RD playing the Earthshaker. As for our Dire side, we've got Unknown. We saw these guys last game. We got Eagle playing the Ember Spirit. Didn't see him last game. We have Umaru-chan. He was playing the Alchemist last game. He's playing the Shadow Fiend this time. We got Zephyri on the Disruptor. Greedy Babe playing the Tidehunter. And Serengay playing the Winter Wyvern. Gonna have another kinetic field, and this one could trap Tiny. This one could be our first blood. Is Tiny getting right-clicked? A few more? No. They needed at least one more there to be able to bring that Tiny down, but just not enough. The Wisp getting the tether, bring that Tiny's HP pool back up a little bit. He's sitting at about half HP now, but he's got 4 more tangos to help bring that back up.
Got it.
Tusk getting that bottom rune as we're trying to catch up in this game. As I don't know what happened in the draft, but we can assume that Tusk was picked up pretty early, as he's typically banned. And we're going to see our first blood here in the top lane as the Earthshaker's in all kinds of trouble. He's trying to run from the Ember Spirit, and on top of that, Shadow Fiend's running and hasted. That's going to be first blood for the Shadow Fiend, as I think Eagle probably would have had that solo in the end, but Earthshaker kind of had to make that move because of the Shadow Fiend coming hasted anyways. We're going to miss a kill in the bottom lane, as Tiny's actually going to get one on the Winter Wyvern. That was thanks to that Tusk roaming down there. Whew. I'm a little out of breath trying to catch up there, as we've got... Let's quickly go over our lanes. We've got Earthshaker in the off lane going up against Ember. Mid lane, we've got Queen of Pain going up against Shadow Fiend. In the bottom lane, we had that aggressive tri-lane of Tidehunter, Winter Wyvern, and where's the Disruptor? He's all the way up here. He's roaming up top right now. They were going up against the Wisp Tiny, which leave the try that again. Which leaves the Tusk to roam around freely. That's our lanes, and so far, well, I don't really know if we've got any team that's really ahead as a result of the laning phase so far. We've got Tiny still. They haven't been able to pressure him enough. He's leading the way in CS, 21-1. Shadow Fiend and Queen of Pain in the mid lane's pretty much a wash. They're pretty dead even. Shadow Fiend just slightly ahead in terms of CS. And then in the top lane, you've got Ember Spirit at 18 CS, still behind the Tiny.
Radiant's
and Earthshaker actually plays behind the Tidehunter in terms of CS, but we're going to see Shadow Fiend get picked off here as that Earthshaker roams away from top and combines with the Tusk to get a kill on the Shadow Fiend. Disruptor was there to try to help out the Swagger Fiend, but not able to do so in the end. It looks like they've abandoned this aggressive tri-lane, and the Disruptor's... Well, he's not going to be down there anymore. He's going to be kind of moving around between mid and top. Or maybe just kind of homing himself at the top lane. Try to zone out this Earthshaker as best as he can.
You get nothing.
case you're wondering, I didn't forget about the trivia. I will get to answering the trivia question. Maybe I'll do that at the end of the game. I'll answer the last question and then ask the next one. It's kind of a little awkward to talk about that in game because all of a sudden if something happens, then, well, whatever. It's just trivia in the end. What am I saying? It's just trivia. That's what everyone's here for. Why would you watch anything else? But no, we got some Dota to watch. So Garnet about to hit 6. That makes the Queen of Pain all of a sudden very, very deadly. And yeah, Shadow Fiend recognizing the fact that that 6 from Queen of Pain is going to be coming out. That means rotate into the jungle, do some stacks, although they're just the one stack, and it's got the golems in it. So Mud Golems kind of suck. I'll Shadow Fiend to clear. But there's definitely worse heroes to clear them on. Shadow Fiend at least has right-click damage. We're going to see both teams get the top rune. Or the runes, and Haste is going to be the top one. Earthshaker's going to pick that up, and he's going to move into the jungle. He has vision of this disruptor thanks to this observer ward just as it's about to expire. Unfortunately, his fissure traps him on the other side. Wow, he could fit through there. That Earthshaker's clearly been on a diet, but he didn't need to fit through there in the end as Tusk came snowballing on in. And that was a quick and easy kill on that disruptor. 3-1 now in favor of Tshow. As this Shadow Fiend, oh, does he know how much danger he's in right now? He was kind of walking a fine line there. I think they actually missed their opportunity to go on him. Not sure what they were waiting on, but yeah, I think all their cooldowns should have been up.
Radiant's
And they
top
definitely
tower
could have
is
fissure
under
blocked him
attack.
off here so that he wasn't going to be able to retreat. And they don't even need to even fissure block him. All they need to do is fissure, throw in Ice Shards, and Queen of Pain ult, and that should kill a Shadow Fiend. So I'm not sure why they didn't go there. Earthshaker definitely had the mana. He was sitting at like 180 when I checked in. Unless he had a Clarity and it just ticked up. But he's got, well, level 3, 155. Maybe that was it. It was a Clarity and then Shadow Fiend
Radiant's
back.
bottom tower is under attack.
Tiny tossing a creep to make sure he gets all those CS. But Tiny, who had all that
Dire's
space
middle
and was
tower
leading
is
our
under
CS,
attack.
is now actually fallen behind quite a bit. We've now got Shadow Fiend and Ember Spirit, both on the Dire side, tied for our lead in CS, just hovering around 57, 58, 59 CS. And Tiny, he's dropped all the way down to 40. He's actually almost dead even with the Tidehunter now.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Oh, Winter Wyvern almost getting trapped there, but he still has his fly activated, his Q. But Air Cup guy from that from that easy camp comes flying on in. Doesn't actually finish off the Winter Wyvern, but they get him anyways. As the Queen of Pain gets that kill.
Radiant structures are fortified.
Shadow Fiend with his double
Radiant's
damage gets some
middle
damage
tower is
in
under
on the
attack.
tier 1 tower, but recognizing the fact that the Queen of Pain is going to be making that rotation back towards the mid lane, still has Sonic Wave available. So Shadow Fiend needs to be very, very wary of that. Now, I'm quite surprised by this Tidehunter and Tiny and how Tide was able to get back in this game in terms of CS and contest the Tiny. As the Wisp hasn't really roamed away from here. We saw the Disruptor roam away early, and apparently the Wisp Tiny hasn't been able to stack up well against the Tidehunter or Winter Wyvern. And we've seen Tiny hurting as a result, and Garnet, wow,
That was
just blowing up that Ember Spirit. Not letting him jump to that Remnant. Well, actually, he jumped to the Remnant, but just throwing the Sonic Wave exactly where he was going to go with that Remnant. And yeah, good kill for Garnet there on the Queen of Pain. With that Sonic Wave on cooldown now, the Shadow Fiend's going to have a little bit more space in the mid lane, but he needs to be careful of heroes like the Tusk and the Earthshaker. Those long-range initiations are what's going to catch him out. But he knows that the Queen of Pain doesn't have that burst potential that she normally does. So he's going to play around this cooldown as best as he can. Be coming in from Tiny to the bottom lane as he is sent back to Fountain. What does he got here? He's going Hand of Midas on the Tiny. So they're in for the long haul here.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Well, I thought they were going to go on the Winter Wyvern there, but choosing not to. There is a level 6 available for this Tidehunter, so he's got Ravage. So that could have just been a turnaround. Had they chosen to go on the Winter Wyvern there, I think Ravage would have came out and Tiny probably would have died. Garnet getting Haste Rune bottled up, and now Greedy Babe was going for the rune, maybe a little bit too greedy. He's going to go down here. No point using the Ravage there, so he's going to hold on to it. And now Serengay, oh, he came down to help, but he's going to get smacked in the face with Wisp's balls.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
Maybe that's a little too lewd for this cast, but balls to the face. I mean, that's one dead Winter Wyvern. And now we're going to lose Shadow Fiend here as well. As Wisp comes jumping on in with that Tiny, using that relocate as soon as they hit 6. And in the mid lane, Garnet almost getting the kill onto the Disruptor. Disruptor sensing or knowing that he's going to die there. Snowball coming in from Scythe. That's a dead Raptor.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Now Eagle's going to come down. He wants to join in on the fun, or at least just start farming some stuff.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
He finishes his Boots of Travel, so he's going to work towards the Battle Fury. And Tiny also finished his Hand of Midas. So something to note about Hand of Midas. Typically, if there's going to be a hero that's going to be moving around and ganking quite a bit, but doesn't have like a really big core item that that enables them to do so, like a Blink Dagger, then sometimes you will see them pick up a Hand of Midas, and that'll help them continue to scale if they're very item dependent or very XP dependent. Mainly for the XP, to be honest. Oh, we're actually going to see Queen of Pain going down here. Nice cover on that Blink from Greedy. And wow, they're even going to get another kill here as they get the Winter's Curse off onto the Tusk, who will try to snowball and buy himself a little bit of time for that Earthshaker coming with the Fissure, but the timing just wasn't quite there. Yeah, you typically pick up the Hand of Midas to keep your XP going while you're moving around and give you a little bit of gold as well, so you still have item progression. We're going to get a stun toss here off onto the Ember and the Tide, but it's not going to be enough to bring down either of them. There comes the big Ravage. The Wisp getting quite low. I think he'll be finished off by the Winter Wyvern. Indeed he does. Static Storm's going to go down. That's going to not trap the Tiny. He just steps out of it. There was a kinetic kill there, right? No, there wasn't. Seeing things apparently. Tower's going to go down. Shadow Fiend gets that last hit. He had double damage. He's going to go down. And now Snowball coming forward. Eagle's in trouble. Kinetic Field, there it is, going down. It'll trap the Tusk in there. He's going to go down. Queen of Pain's going to try to blink away, and looks like she'll be okay. Is there a glimpse available? There is, but no mana. So we lose a lot of heroes in that team fight, and I'm just waiting for the show fight recap. 4 for 1 is the trade in the end. There was a lot of heroes low at many different times in that team fight for Unknown, but they only lose 1 in the end. Get ahead about 1,300 gold as a result of that fight. And they get a tower on top of that. Going quickly back to that Hand of Midas talk. So typically you get a Hand of Midas on a hero that's going to be roaming around if you're really XP dependent. And if you require something like a Blink Dagger, you typically don't see it. That's why we don't see Slardars get it. Even though it's quite important to get levels on Slardar. You want to hit level 11, you want to hit 16 to get those ranks, increased ranks on the amplified damage. But we see it on a hero like Invoker, even though he needs his Yules, but the Midas gets him his Yules, and the roaming around gets him his Yules. But a hero like Tiny, it's just a little weird. Because he's gone this Midas, he's elected to not go with the Blink Dagger. So he doesn't really have that roaming around potential, and he's kind of gone for the Midas to just kind of amplify his farm and just kind of help him farm, give him a little bit more levels as well. But it's come at the cost of not getting a Blink Dagger, so he won't be able to jump on.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Winter Wyvern is early game is a kill for the Tiny, but it quickly doesn't become a kill because Winter Wyvern's got so many tools to stay alive against the Tiny after the combo. All he has to do is get comboed and then he freezes himself with Cold Embrace. And that buys more than enough time for his team to help him out. But early game, he's definitely food for a Tiny. Disruptor, for a vast majority of this game, is going to be food for
Radiant's
Tiny
bottom tower is
until he
under
starts
attack.
working on his Aghanims. If he even chooses to do so, and I guess he will, because I imagine Queen of Pain's going to be going for a BKB. I want to say
top
soon,
tower
but
is
she's
under
picked up a
attack.
Yules, which means
Radiant's bottom tower
Aghanim's
is
going to be
under
next. BKB's probably going to be following that. So it'll be a little ways before they really need the Disruptor or Aghanims. Look at this positioning from Unknown. They're all
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
sitting behind the Shadow Fiend, and look at that Ice Shards. Ice Shards comes in, it
Dire's
traps the
top
Shadow
tower
Fiend,
is under attack.
and they actually don't see these heroes. They haven't seen these heroes, well, they saw them now, but they haven't seen that those heroes were there. But they know, based on the Shadow Fiend's positioning, he's got a team behind him. So even though they get that Ice Shards in, they trap the Shadow Fiend, it looks like a great position to jump on that Shadow Fiend. They don't, because they know that there's a bunch of heroes sitting behind. And that's just great awareness by Tshow. If they were to jump on that, they're going to get ravaged. They're going to be stuck in a static storm, kinetic field, and they're going to lose several heroes. But there is something to be said about maybe Tshow playing a little bit too passive. His Unknown just goes and takes Roche. They just walk into Roche Pit, and Tshow knows exactly what's happening. They walked right through this Observer Ward. They were not smoked, and Tshow just not wanting to have any of it. They're not going to go and fight. They say, you know what, go take Roche. We're fine with it. We're not really going to do much on the map in terms of taking objectives. We'll just farm your jungle. So Roche goes down, Unknown. Pick up the Aegis on their Shadow Fiend, so Umaru-chan is going to be holding on to that one. He's picked up an S and Y. As let's actually move on to our net worth here.
Tower is under attack.
And see that a Shadow Fiend is indeed #1, and he's going to add to that as they're probably going to take down this Tier 1 tower. But now, Tshow is actually going for a trade here. They're going for a Tier 2 in the top lane. They've only got 3 heroes up there, though, as they've got one in the mid lane who, well, he was getting bullied by Eagle. He's just going to be able to TP on out. King RD was there as well. Bottom Tier 1 has gone down. Top Tier 2, they're only able to bring it down to half
Dire's
before
middle
they're
tower is under attack.
forced to back up. Let's quickly cycle through all our heroes. What does our Wisp have? He's got just an urn, no boots. Nope, still no boots coming in. So this Wisp, quite slow right now. But I imagine boots are going to be coming soon for him. Probably next item. That's the Aghanim's finish on the Tiny. What about our Tusk? Just Arcanes, so he's still making progression. Probably going to go for a mech as his next item. The Earthshaker's now up at just under 2,100 gold, so Bleak Dagger not too far away for him. And we've got the Queen of Pain with just that Yules. Where's the other gold? Okay, Point Booster picked up, so it's on the courier. So Aghanim's is indeed going to be her next item. I still think BKB is probably going to follow, as Queen of Pain getting locked down, and just basically, if she gets hit by a Ravage, which most likely is going to happen unless she uses herself, or plays very defensive in the team fight until we actually see a Ravage, then she really needs to be worried about getting Ravage into a Static Storm. And if she's not able to blink out a Static Storm kinetic field, then she's probably going to die. So she needs the BKB to be able to get on out of that. But of course, Unknown on their Disruptor probably going to be going after the Aghanim Scepter to nullify that BKB, so the Queen of Pain isn't able to escape it. And Disruptor, he's at 1,500 gold right now. Question is whether or not he's still going to go for the more standard, or the standard kind of Force Staff that you see Disruptors picking up, or whether he's just going to rush right into that Aghanims, knowing that timing. We've got 2 fights going on here, as Earthshaker is going to engage on them in the top lane. Winter's Curse is going to be cast on him. The Tiny and the Wisp come in with the relocate, but we're going to lose our Earthshaker first. Tidehunter is going to go down. In the meantime, in the mid lane, we're going to lose the Disruptor, as we'll jump on over there as Shadow Fiend, Tusk, and Queen of Pain were kind of in the mix there. That's not T-Tours. I'm not able to watch 2 fights at once. I'm sorry, guys. I was watching the mini-map. Were you? You're going to call me out. But we'll start cycling through our heroes here on the Dire side. Disruptor not actually buying anything before he dies there, so losing out on some gold. Still not making any movement towards a Force Staff, which leads me to believe that he's probably going after his Aghanims instead, and the Courier just wasn't in position to buy anything. But still should have bought Observer Wards if he had them off cooldown, which I believe they do. But there's one up right now. So maybe a little bit of a misplay there from Disruptor. But Shadow Fiend still has that Aegis, up to 2,400 gold, has picked up a Helm of the Dom. Tidehunter, Powerful Mech, he's sitting at 2,100 gold. Probably Blink Dagger is going to be his next item of choice. Ember Spirit, that's a completed Battle Fury. He just needs to get everything. Oh my goodness, no, he doesn't have the Perseverance on him. Never mind. That's not a completed Battle Fury. It's getting close though. Just over 1,000 gold. Something like that. I'm not doing the actual math, but bottom lane, they've managed to Static Storm, Kinetic Field, the Earthshaker, but there comes the Wisp Tiny with the relocate. Earthshaker is still going to go down, I think. No, he's actually going to survive. The Lightning? Thunderstrike. Oh well, the Disruptor goes down, but the Earthshaker just barely surviving. That last tick of Thunderstrike not finishing him off. And then the Wisp Tiny just returned back to where they came from, which was the top lane, and they're going to start farming up there, as Tidehunter has picked up his Blink Dagger. So this is an important timing for them. They've got the Blink Dagger up on their Tide. Their Shadow Fiend, oh, never mind. The Aegis has just gone down. I was going to say the Aegis is getting close to expiring, and, well, I would have been right in that. But I was a little too slow to it, so I was actually wrong if I were to say that. A little too slow. A little too slow. Eagle gonna jump forward, gonna go on to Garnet, but his Searing Chain's actually not landing. It's latching some creeps instead. It looks like we got a potential push in the mid lane for Unknown, but drawing on the minimap that, well, the call is for Tiny to keep pushing up in this bottom lane. Courier needs to be careful as it's flying in the Hyperstone, and then they know that there's some heroes from Unknown close by, so they're gonna try to save the Courier, and they're actually bringing it back because they know they're probably gonna have to TP on out of here, and that's exactly what they're gonna do. Tiny's gonna TP to the mid lane, Whiff's gonna TP as well. And now he'll deliver his Hyperstone to him as he's working towards his AC. He has actually picked up a Yasha, but not completing the Manta. So Aghanims is finished on the Queen of Pain, and I'm looking forward to this BKB pickup because it's got to be picked up. Well, they're gonna smoke up just the 3 of them though. The 3 that aren't, or the 2 that aren't smoked up, are the Wisp Tiny. You really can't tell if the Wisp is invis or if he's smoked, but he's not. They're looking for kills down in the bottom lane, but there's no one down here on the Dire side. They're all grouped up in the mid. Disruptor still yet to spend any of his gold. Working towards one of those items, and he's going to lose some of it here as he actually evades the fissure, but there was more than enough damage on the side of Tshow. As we lose the Disruptor once again. Well, Whisk gets the double damage bottled up, but gets picked off. Ember getting the kill there. 14-10 now. In favor of Tshow. That was actually 800 gold for killing that Wisp. Really? Wow. That's a lot of gold for a Wisp. Let's take a look at our gold graph. Unknown's actually leading right now. 1,000 gold ahead. And almost 5,000 XP ahead as well. That was a lot of gold for a Wisp. I didn't expect it to be that much. I guess part of it was the fact that Wisp lost a lot of unreliable gold. Got 1,800 gold on the Winter Wyvern. But he's probably going for Blink as his next item. I imagine Tide will probably finish their Guardian Greaves at this point. Or maybe we'll start working towards... Well, there's a couple items here. He could go Refresher, which gives you the second Ravage. Is always good on Tide.
Dire's middle tower.
You've got the Guardian Greaves, which is just a really solid
Dire's
item.
structures are fortified.
You've got Shiva's, which gives you armor to counter the Tiny. And also gives you a little bit more magic damage when you jump in.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
I think those are probably the three big ones that you could go right now. I'm really not sure which one's the right choice here.
Radiant structures are fortified.
I think I'd actually prefer the Guardian Greaves.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Well, we're seeing
Dire's top
this is
tower
probably going to
is
be a
under
trade
attack.
here, as it looks like Unknown's going to take the bottom and Tshow's going to take the top.
Dire's
Tier
structures
2s.
are fortified.
We got a mass TP though coming in from Unknown. And Tiny just says, well, Winter Wyvern's coming in ahead of everyone. I'm just going to blow him up. And oh, Free gets the Static Storm off and just barely gets out of range of that Tiny. Garnet comes in with the Sonic Wave. Doesn't kill anyone, but gets Tidehunter quite low. Tshow, the Wisp is going to go down. And Queen of Pain uses herself and then blinks away. Shadow Fiend was channeling Requiem, waiting for her to come down, but it didn't go off in time. And then they're still going to find Garnet and get him. So in the end, it's... Well, it was actually... Okay, it's two different fight recaps. Once again, fight recap. Not really giving us the information we need. But they still didn't get that top tier 2. That's the second time they've tried to push it and not gotten it. And had to back earlier. And what was not really looking like
Radiant's
the best
middle tower is under
fight
attack.
for Unknown. They TP'd in early with the Winter Wyvern. He just got blown up. And then they almost lost the Disruptor. But he just barely got away. Then Tide got incredibly low, but he lived for a few seconds, which bought maybe some heroes on Unknown a little bit more time while they were bringing down Tide to kind of get some damage in on that Queen of Pain, forcing her to Eul's herself, and which eventually led to her death. But in the end, Unknown actually comes out just slightly ahead in that team fight, but a little bit more ahead because they got a tier 2 and were able to defend their own. Well, clear coming up from Tshow. They know Unknown is in the pit here. And they're going to roll on forward with the Snowball. They're going to go on to the Disruptor. He's going to go down, but meanwhile there's a fight right on Roche. We've got Tidehunter sitting without any Ravage. So he's just going to have to right-click his way to victory here, or hope that he can right-click his way to victory. We've got the Shadow Fiend frozen up by the Winter Wyvern. He will go down as soon as that wears off. Ice Shard's actually getting the final... Actually, no, it was the Earthshaker who got the final blow on him. But Tshow has stopped them from doing Roche, and now they're going to try to back away, but Tusk is going to go down. So maybe with that pick-off and the fact that the Wisp has just gone back to base here, they might just be able to go for Roche again, but do they have enough damage with the Shadow Fiend dead? I don't think they do. It's going to take them a long time to get this Roche down, but it doesn't look like Tshow is going to be coming to contest, so this is actually going to be a free Roche. Look at how long it has taken them. This would have been a 3v3. I guess they're scared of the Ember Spirit right now. He gets a crit with his Chrysalis.
Roshan has fallen to the
Immortality.
Well, Roche will go down. Eagle is going to get the Aegis. And it's a plate mail pickup for Garnet, so not going after that BKB. King Ardee's picked up his Force. He's got an Ogre Club, so it's going to be probably BKB for him. What is our Tiny doing? AC finish for him. Probably going to complete that Manta now. So look at our dire side. Got a blink already for the Winter Wyvern. And also picked up a Shadow Amulet, so he's going to go for Glimmer. We're just talking about the Ember, but he's completed this Daedalus.
Yes.
Tide, it's going to be the Shiva's Guard for him. So one of the 3 items that I called that he would potentially get.
Ensnared in fire.
Juking the fissure there. And Eagle, oh, very, very close to bringing down King RD. No crit for him, though. Which means the TP brings him back to safety. Shadow Fiend picked up his Scotty a little bit earlier. Sitting on another 2,200 gold. What is his next item of choice? I don't know. Is now when you get the BKB? Maybe. Could still go for a Butterfly this game. That wouldn't be the worst. Going to give him a lot more damage. I don't know. He's sitting at 4, 4, and 6. I'm not sure if he feels really vulnerable in these team fights because there is a decent amount of lockdown. The Tiny combo is pretty strong against the Shadow Fiend. Everything that the Earthshaker can do, all that lockdown's good. The Tusk as well. BKB is going to protect you against all that. Some of the damage that Queen of Pain's putting out is going to protect you from. Of course, not going to protect you against the ultimate, because that's pure damage with the items.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
Illusion.
We're going down here.
Radiant's top tower has fallen.
Well, he hasn't decided quite yet. He's sitting at
Radiant's
3,100.
top tower is under
Disruptor's
attack.
actually elected to go for a Blink Dagger, not for the Force Staff. One of the other options. Ooh, nice fissure. Doesn't actually block them off there.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
Very Shard's flying through. Eagle's getting pretty low here. They might, yeah, they're actually just going to get a free kill on that Aegis there. They'll definitely take that, but now Unknown looking to actually step up onto the high ground and take this tier 3, as it's going to force out the Glyph. We do have the Tiny and the Wisp threatening in the bottom lane. TP was coming in from the Dire side, but it will get interrupted. It was coming out from Eagle with his Boots of Travel, and the Yule Scepter was used by the Queen of Pain. The tier 3 goes down, and now the Wisp and Tiny are going to back up. Disruptor has come back here. I think he was looking for... looking to see if that they were gonna like recall in or something, or relocate in and try to catch them with a glimpse or
Dire's middle tower is under
like that.
attack.
But then Tiny would have just TP'd. I don't know. He's trying to interrupt something, but well, Tshow seeing a little bit of an opportunity here. They're gonna find that Ember Spirit, kill him. Winter's Curse is gonna mean that Wisp just gets right clicked down by his Tiny, his friend, his partner in this game.
Dire's
betrayed
middle
him.
tower is under attack.
Serengay with a little bit of Houdini action here, somehow escaping, using the Glimmer Cape and the Blink Dagger to be a slippery snake. That range track so low, 33 HP. Well, it's not 0, which means it's still alive. We go back to our gold graph. 5,000 gold ahead for Unknown right now. This game's still pretty even. 19 to 17 in terms of kills. XP just about 10,000 ahead for Unknown. But this is still very much anyone's game. Still no Shiva's Guard finished on this Tide Hunter. Still working towards that Mystic Staff, and 1,200 for him before he reaches that. And there we go. I was about to say Shadow Fiend still not spending his gold, but now he buys that BKB. Just as he gets enough gold, he buys the whole thing straight out. Now we'll quickly cycle through all our heroes and see if anyone's picked up anything new. We've got Urn and Cloak for the Wisp. He really hasn't made any progression towards anything since we last checked in. Glimmer Cape for the Tusk. Earthshaker still just that Ogre Club, but he's got a lot of gold on hand, 3,200. Tiny has picked up a BKB, but still just sitting on that Yasha, so hasn't gotten that Manta, which I was thinking that you could potentially pick up. Shiva's Guard recipe picked up by the Queen of Pain, so sitting on 2,500 gold as well. Mystic Staff going to come out a little bit earlier for the Queen of Pain than it will for the Tide, so Tshow is going to have their Shivas before Unknown does. This Speaking of unknown, they've smoked up as 5, and they're going to move into their own jungle. They're going to run into Tshow, which was also smoked, and this is going to be a very separated team fight as Tusk looking to go on the disruptor there, but Ravage is going to hit a whole bunch of heroes, and then we're going to have a huge Requiem. Ember's actually going to get a double kill. Tusk still playing around below the team fight here with the disruptor. As Tiny, he's a big green, or big gold, I should say, rock, as he's trying to swing his tree, but he's just getting kited all over the place. They're going to bring him down. Scythe drops into the Glimmer Cape. Ember gets another Sleight of Fist off. He's going to get a double with that one, which means it's an ultra kill on the fight. And I believe the Shadow Fiend, yeah, the Shadow Fiend got the kill on the Tusk there, so that's what took the rampage away from Eagle on this Ember Spirit, but a very, very one-sided fight for Unknown as they kind of counter-smoke into Tshow and catch them off guard. And can't help but feel that maybe that Tusk, he was trying to stop the disruptor from really participating in that fight, and we were seeing the play around the bottom, but he was able to snake around here using the Blink Dagger to avoid the snowball and get into a position down here where he was able to cast up onto the high ground. And the Static Storm Kinetic Field actually did a lot of work that team fight. It was all set up by the Ravage, but Tusk was basically completely out of the equation because he was just chasing the disruptor. Well, that mid-tier 2 went down. We did have a buyback on Tiny, but they weren't really able to do anything on the back of it. Maybe just buying back because they knew that there was going to be a push for tier 3 and they didn't want to give up their tier 3.
Got it.
BKB was picked up by Earthshaker. We'll quickly cycle through our Radiant heroes here, see if anything new. We've got Chrysalis picked up by Tiny. Still not going for that Manta. There's the Shiva's finished by the Queen of Pain, as she's getting harassed by Eagle. And now we'll look at our dire side. So we've got the Blink, and now the point boosters coming out from the Disruptor. So he's about 2,000 gold from completing, 1,000 gold on Tusk getting picked off there. And Shadow Fiend's going to try to let the Requiem fly, but he's going to cancel it. There's that BKB getting popped by the Earthshaker, but it's not really going to allow him to do much of anything. He's just going to die in the end to all physical damage coming out from the Shadow Fiend. The Tidehunter's going to go down, toss on the Disruptor, which means he's going to go down. Winter's Curse on the Tiny, which means as soon as the Queen of Pain lands from her Yules, she's sitting there attacking the Tiny on her own team. And then she tries to blink away, but in the end she's just kind of trapped in the trees there, and Dire have complete vision of her with that Observer Ward. Wisp comes back, but doesn't bring the Tiny with him. That's a dead Wisp, but Tiny got out alive, which is important. Winter Wyvern picking up a Perseverance.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Eagle still...
Radiant structures
don't think anything new from him. I think he had the Scotty last time we checked in.
Chained in searing heat.
Actually dropped his Daedalus there for a second.
Radiant's middle tower.
But tier 3 going down. We are going to see our first set of racks go down here, despite that range racks in the bottom lane for Unknown still sitting at 33 HP. We will see our first set of racks go down here. There's our Ghost, it's in the mid lane, and there's that 33 HP range racks. Of course, doesn't regen health, so still sitting at 33. But yeah, Disruptor now 1,200 away from completing that Aghanims. Shadow Fiend's picked up Satanic. What is his BKB down to? 8 seconds. Tide. Still sitting on that Shiva's Guard recipe. That must have picked up the Mystic. Okay. So Tide will have his Shivas when he gets all his items together. Remember, we just saw him. And second Perseverance picked up by the Winter Wyvern. We're getting close.
Roshan has fallen to the dark.
We'll have Aegis picked up by the Ember Spirit. Cheese looks like it was picked up by the Shadow Fiend. And Tiny just picked up his Daedalus, and they may find a kill here on the Winter Wyvern. He's going to use his Glimmer Cape to try and escape there. Now he's flying over, trees, trying to get away, trying to buy enough time for his Blink Dagger to come up. But he had the Shadow Strike on him, so not able to blink. And will go down in the end. But while all this is going down, the two carries on the side of Unknown are just inside Tshow's base, destroying all those money huts, getting that extra little bit of gold. Now they're rotating down to bottom, and they're starting to smack away at this tier 3. Sonic Wave's going to fly through, mainly just dealing damage to the Creep Wave to finish it off. It did hit the Shadow Fiend, but
Radiant's bottom tower
did pretty
is
much
under
negligible
attack.
damage, considering Shadow Fiend even has the cheese.
Be ensnared in fire.
They try to lock down
Radiant's
Eagle,
middle
but he's
tower is
able to
under
jump
attack.
over that fissure and get away. Tier 3 down to 237 HP. Shadow Fiend just taunting there. Taunting with the Requiem. Here comes the Creep Wave. Now is probably going to be the moment that we're going to see them push uphill. Winter Wyvern is respawning, but he's still across the map, so he's not going to be able to help out his team. Maybe they're just going to wait for him. Winter Wyvern actually purchasing a smoke, but just leaving it on the courier. Or not. I don't know where it is, but
Radiant's
it's not there
bottom
anymore.
tower is under attack. Radiant's bottom tower has
Tier
fallen.
3 goes down.
Captured in the flame.
Scythe dropping an Observer Ward to give him vision, and we're going to have Force Staff in from the Earthshakers popping his BKB. The Echo didn't really do much of anything. He's just going to get finished off by the Shadow Fiend. Static Storm's Kinetic Field will trap the Tusk, so he's going to go down. So two heroes already down on the side of Tshow. The Aegis just got used by the Ember Spirit, but he's just going to keep going. Garnet now going to go down. Tiny also went down at the same time,
Radiant's
and
bottom
that
barracks
is
are under
everyone but the Wisp, who's just safely in the fountain. And GG will get called by Tshow as Unknown takes their second game of the night and second game of the Dota 2 Canada Cup, and they're all dropping their items.
Dire victory.
Some pretty BM stuff there, I guess. But they drop all their items on the ground, which means we're going to have a really weird score screen at the end. And, oh, they were buying a bunch of mangoes. Okay. But Unknown takes that, and they win their second game of the night, and they're going to look to make it a three-peat, as they've got one more game, and our final game of the night going to be coming up, and that's going to be Unknown versus Pain Gaming, as Pain looks to will come out with a win and start their tournament off on the right foot, and that would give them one game up on all the other teams that we saw fall to Unknown tonight. Well, that's going to wrap it up for this one. Once again, guys, that was Niz. Hopefully you're enjoying the cast so far. I did promise that I'd cover the trivia question that I asked before, which was it was regarding basketball and the NBA in the first game ever played. So we know James Naismith was a Canadian, and then he went down to the U.S. to KU, University of Kansas, to teach, but also introduce them to the game of basketball. And then eventually down the line, the NBA was started. So I asked, where was the first game of all time played? Who was in it? When was it played? All that fun stuff. So we have to go back to 1946, November 1st. That was the first game of the NBA ever. And it was actually, we were looking for the Canadian connection. It was actually played in Toronto, at Toronto Maple Leaf Gardens, which is the arena that the Maple Leafs were playing out of, hence the name Maple Leaf Gardens. They don't play out of there anymore. They play at the ACC, which the Raptors now play out of. But it was between the New York Knickerbockers, which I'm assuming then became the New York Knicks, and the Toronto Huskies. And yeah, so that was on November 1st, 1946. New York Knickerbockers versus the Toronto Huskies in Toronto at Maple Leaf Gardens. And, well, because it's Toronto, we ended up losing. It was 68-66 for the New York Knickerbockers. So there's your answer to the trivia question, which I normally answer at the draft at the start of each game, but yeah, we had a little bit of a weird start to this game. So that's the answer for our trivia there. And now we need another question to ask. So what are we going to ask? I was trying to figure this out before we went live with this cast, or before we went live with this game. And I said, you know what? I'll just wing it and I'll figure it out which question I'm going to ask at the end. So let's just pick one here. We can make it nice and simple, asking something like, what is the national sport of Canada? I think that's a pretty easy question. And you know what? Let's also throw in, what's the national animal of Canada? Because that one's a fun one too. But so yeah, what are the national sports and animals of Canada? Well, sport and animal of Canada. So that's our question for our next game, as that one should be starting in about 15 minutes. It's set to start at 10 o'clock between Unknown and Pain Gaming. And yeah, I'm going to throw it to music in the meantime. And hopefully you'll stick with us for that. And if you don't, well, thanks for watching. Make sure you hit that follow button.